Hey friends, this is Todd Norcross from the Dojo Martial Arts. We haven't done a question and answer from the internet for quite a while, so I thought I'd answer some questions here. We had several dozen, so here are a few. I'll try to keep it short. I narrowed it down to some that I thought would be pertinent to what we teach at this particular dojo. Our channel has over 550,000 views on it, so there's a lot of questions. So I'm just going to pick a few here to try to keep it short because I know you guys are busy. Okay, let's get into the first question. Katana Girl 1998 writes, what ninja organization do you guys belong to? Katana Girl, we don't belong to any organization. Although we're friends with many martial art organizations, we are autonomous. We're self-operating here at the dojo. I have friends and I have teachers in many organizations, but I'm not part of any one organization. I have a Dai Shihan, Arnaud Coussergue, who's coming here from France next year in January, so he'll be teaching. He's one of the highest ranked Bujinkan members. Of course, I'm friends with Stephen Hayes, and I have teachers from all over. I have a sword teacher, teachers from other martial arts. I never burn bridges with anyone, but I am not officially part of any organization, nor is this dojo. So it's a good question. But I don't recommend, if you were a part of an organization, you left for whatever reason it might be, try not to burn bridges. Always remain friends. It's a very smart thing to do. And remain friends with local martial artists. I have friends that run schools in my area that don't teach anything like we do here, but I recommend their school. If I have a client that comes in that wants a different martial art, I send them to my friend's school across town. It's really important to develop a brotherhood in martial arts where you're not backstabbing each other, because that's poor business practice and just poor ethics in general. Gojira88 asks, do you guys meditate in class, and how important is meditation in the martial arts? Meditation is really important in martial arts. You can't have one side of the coin without the other. So you can imagine a brutally powerful martial artist who's fantastic at MMA, and he's great at the sword, or she's great at judo, and they're just a badass, but their personal life is a mess, or they're always angry and they fight out of anger and they hurt people to get more in the world, and they have lack of morals and they're doing all kinds of things behind people's backs. That's why meditation is important. You can't just study the physical part of martial arts, because you will become unbalanced, and any anger inside of you, any depression or anything like that it won't be worked on. The physical is important, but the mental is actually, in my opinion, far more important, because how likely is it that you're going to get into a fight from here to your car? It's far more likely that we're going to get upset and angry with people at work or our family or friends. Meditation. I meditate not every day. I meditate probably 2 or 3 times per week. And meditation is just the art of becoming familiar with what's going on in your mind. It's brain pattern recognition. It's building awareness to the environment and my thoughts and why I'm thinking this way, why I'm emulating these emotions, what's going on inside of my head, why am I processing information this way, and how do I work in the world. Meditation, I believe, is the other side of the coin. I need to practice the physical martial arts to be healthy and to be happy and to be confident and to be able to defend myself. But can I defend myself from myself? That's another whole ball game, and that's why I meditate. And again, it's not a religious thing, it's not a spiritual thing. It literally is like psychology. It's like you become your own psychiatrist, and you look in your head and you say, why am I thinking this way? And you take notes, and you become more connected to things in the world rather than being separate. Because when we separate from things, we then go into conflict with them. And if I feel more attached to the world, yet remaining detached from certain emotions, I can really get through the world in a more smooth and efficient way. And it's fantastic for time management too. The more that I meditate, the more that I have time for. Now, in the dojo, we used to have a meditation class a few years ago, but just like anything else, it comes and goes. People, by habit, don't stick with things for very long. So my meditation, we do talks in here quite often, because talking is important part of training. Like, why do we think this way? What happened at work? If someone brings up an issue they're going through in life, we definitely talk about that, because that is a huge part of self-protection. But as far as an actual sit down and meditate class, I haven't done one of those in a few years. You would have to find my CD called Finding Happiness, or you could buy the 2 DVD disc set that I did called Mind of the Warrior. The Warrior's Mind, if you want to get more into meditation. I do have a couple of products out there, but if you're interested in meditation, you'll have to find a local teacher and see what he or she can show you, and give it some time. Don't just sit for one class and say, I have it, because you don't. We never have it. That's the whole point, is you can never explore your mind enough. Meditation is year after year after year. It's not 3 classes. Xander writes, I just bought the Ninjutsu Tap-Outs and Finishes DVD and I loved it. Why don't more teachers focus on simple finishes in a fight, i.e. stomping or kicking? Xander, you're correct. In the DVD that we did called Ninjutsu Tap-Outs, we show several finishes on when the opponent falls to the ground, what to do. You don't hop on them and ground fight them, because that's a sport, and if they have a brother behind you, you're in trouble. How can I take the opponent down and maintain a spatial awareness, an enlightened awareness, a heightened awareness of my surroundings, and do damage to the opponent so before he can pull me down or pull out a knife or a gun? So the techniques you see in our DVD are quite, for lack of a better term, they're dirty fighting. They're not a sport. This is a life and death situation. Excuse me. However, that doesn't mean that you can't beat someone to a pulp. You have to use like violence with like violence. I would never teach children ages 8 to 15 how to stomp on someone's head. That's stupid. That's immoral. The only reason you would use that is if it's a life or death situation, or they're being abducted and they happen to kick the bad guy to get away. That's great. But if it's someone from your school, you can imagine a 9-year-old kid and a sensei saying, like the bad Karate Kid movies, the Cobra Kai dojo. You can imagine the teacher saying, and when you get this kid down, I want you to stomp on his head and punch him in the nose 15 times and poke his eye out and kick him in the groin and jump on him and run away. That would not be a very moral or ethical thing to teach a child. And with this ridiculously litigious society we live in, that his family would be suing your family, he would be expelled or sent to juvenile detention, whatever it might be. With our training, and when we teach martial art techniques, we have to also teach the children, how much violence should I use? How far should I go to defend myself? If you go too far, you're in trouble, and everything is filmed nowadays. You can't get away with anything. At the same time, you have to fight like a cat, like a lion, if someone's trying to abduct you or something like that. So, yes, that DVD has a lot of good finishes, and you can get that Ninjutsu Tap-Outs and Finishes on eBay if you're interested in that. I don't know why teachers don't focus more on the simple finishes. You know that if you try to do some sort of ridiculous wrist defense or certain types of poor arm bars, the guy's just going to get up. And what if he's on drugs or he has a gun in his pocket? So hitting is always better than grappling. There's no doubt about it. If you have to defend yourself against multiple opponents on a battlefield, you will not spend time and drop into a jujigatami. It just doesn't work. If you're in a ring, go for it. Josh asks, why do you not work on Noto in your sword videos? Noto is a term that just means resheathing the sword. Noto is the art of, you draw, iai, you defend, kenjutsu, and Noto is how to put the sword back in the scabbard. I do work on Noto. I work on it all the time, but for me, as far as a defensive tactic. No-to is not very important. No-to is like an art. It's an art form. I'm not going to spend time in a video to show someone how to resheath the sword if there's 5 more opponents coming at you. It just makes no sense. I respect it as an art form. I've done it for many years. I enjoy it, but it's not a practical thing to learn if I have a limited amount of time with you as my student. I want to show you how to use this as a tool. Although the samurai said this was the soul of the samurai, the ninja used it as a tool only, and if it broke, they didn't care. It got the job done. It's like a bullet. You don't worship a bullet. The bullet's gone once it's shot out of the barrel. Same thing with the sword. If the guy's dead, who the heck cares how you put the sword back in the scabbard? It doesn't matter. No one's there to see it. The reason you practice no-to is so you don't cut your fingers off when you put it back with this razor-sharp blade, and so you don't ruin your scabbard and things like that. But as far as where is it on the scale of importance, it's down the list. So if you see me in my videos and I put the sword back like that, who cares? It's a $100 sword. It's not a $20,000 heirloom. So you have to just remember what are we showing on video? What are we teaching? And you're only seeing such a small percentage of what we show here. Adonite writes, your teaching is superb, but it just dawned on me, when is anyone ever going to come at you with a katana in the real world? You're right. Most people don't come at you with a sword at the mall. If they did, they'd be arrested. Why do we train with the sword then? What's the point? It's because it's a weapon. It teaches you timing. It teaches you distancing. A sword is a fantastic weapon to teach you and to improve your unarmed combat. If you're only doing unarmed combat and you don't touch weapons, you are missing 50% or more of martial arts. You're missing the essence of Budo. I want to be able to use a sword, a knife, a pistol, a rifle, a cell phone, or a shuriken. I want to be able to use everything. How do I throw a can at somebody? How do I use this remote control to down an opponent? You can't play favorites with weapons. You have to know them all, or as many as you can get your hands on or practice at your school or training group. We need to practice the sword. It has a tremendous amount of secrets to timing and distancing in it. And most of the techniques that we do with the sword can be translated into unarmed combat techniques, and they're almost exact. So realistically, although there are news stories of people killing each other with swords, I agree with you. You're not going to see a katana on the street, but you're going to see sticks and swords, knives and guns and all kinds of things. So I don't want to be that one guy that has no clue how to use a sword when the time might come when I have to use it. Plus, it's fun. Alpha times 3 writes, I really want to train at your school, but I can't because I'm too young. One day I'll get there. Alpha, you have the right attitude. Being too young or too old shouldn't matter. If you have a dream to come train here or wherever you want to go, if you want to train at some school somewhere, if you want to become a fireman when you get older, an actor or whatever you want to be, start young with your dream and then allow your small goals to become stepping stones toward your goal and dream. You can start right now. You don't need any money. You don't need a training group. You can start training right away. Watch the videos, watch other people's stuff, find a local training group, ask your friends, read books, do what you need to attain your goal, but you don't have to be an old person. I started training when I was 10 in Uechi-ryu karate, and then I moved into Aikido, and then I found Ninjutsu at the age of 11, 1981, and I've been doing that ever since. That was the complete system for me. And I'm 47 now, and I feel like it's been 10 years, even though it's been 30-something. There are so many secrets, and you can start at age 8 or 10 or 12 with your training. Don't let anyone discourage you from accomplishing your goal and finding that thing that you are passionate about in life. Toon Van Osh writes, hello Sensei, I'm inspired by your videos and I am starting my journey in Bujinkan Taijutsu on the 6th of October. I am 49 years young, I like that, and I am from the Netherlands. Can you give me some advice? Toon, you're already doing the advice I would have given you. You're already starting on your journey. 49 years old is not old. You can start training at any age. A lot of people that I get phone calls from or emails or come off the street, they're nervous about training because of their age. It's just a number. Who cares? And if you say, well, I'm not feeling well, the more you train, you'll feel better. It's like saying, well, I can't walk because I'm 60. Of course you can walk. People start training at age 65. I've had people in their 80s train. I've had people who are 6 years old start to train. Martial arts does not discriminate with ageism or sexism or anything, or racism. You can be anything you want and still train in Budo and become really good. So the fact that you're in the Netherlands and you found a Bujinkan Taijutsu group, great, you're already doing it. And give it a chance. Don't just go to one class or a few weeks. Really see what the group is about, see if the sensei is a good leader or not, and then go from there. But I applaud you for beginning at age 49. You're never too old to start martial arts. Arctic Gator writes, awesome as usual. It's just too bad I can't sit in Seiza anymore because of my bad knees. And Seiza is when it's called the correct seat. It's when you sit on your knees and your feet on the floor like they did in Japan and China and in the East, and they still do. He's talking about a video we did in weapons called Mutodori. Mutodori means like without a weapon, without a sword. It's empty of a weapon. And he was asking if you could roll to the right and get behind his shoulder if you can't sit in Seiza. I can't answer that, Arctic Gator, because it really depends on the situation. And I didn't watch that video recently, so I don't know if that would apply. You can't answer specific questions when you're teaching martial arts unless you're in the moment. And half the time the answer is, I don't know. Depends on how the guy moves. If I move 5 inches this way, the technique changes. Remember, a technique is just a skeletal structure of how the situation might go and where he most likely will attack next. There are a million factors that change that. If you have bad knees, you can still sit in Seiza, but you can put a pillow underneath yourself to help support you. It took me years to sit in Seiza and Fudo-za or cross-legged. But it's great for your health. Sitting in Seiza really builds up the muscles around your knee and the patella, and it keeps things stretched, your ligaments stretched, and it keeps your feet healthy, and it keeps your ankles and thighs loose. It builds your thigh muscles up. If you've ever seen Asian people's legs, they're really muscular, and because they sit a lot on the ground, and they've evolved that way. And we have pretty big legs too, but in the West, Europeans tend to have a bigger upper body and smaller legs. I envy people who can sit for hours. I used to sit for 8 hours in Seiza, and your feet fall asleep. It's not healthy, but the meditation required it. But if you can sit on the ground, it really helps your health. It helps keep you flexible, and it keeps you from injuring yourself. The more you can sit and stretch, even if you just sit in a chair and cross your leg, or sit cross-legged and move around, it will really help you. But don't let that deter you. I've had 2 back surgeries. I know everybody in martial arts I know has some sort of injury. It's usually one of the top 3, which are back, shoulder, and knee injuries. Don't let that deter you. There are ways to deal in martial arts working around health issues. Just talk to your teacher. John Rambo writes, do you have Stephen K. Hayes' Ninja book series from the 80s? If you do, I have some questions. Would that be okay to ask? Of course, John. You don't have to preface a question with a question. If you want to ask a question, just ask it. Yes, I have all of his books and hundreds of others. I have a library at home and here, hundreds of books. You can't read enough as a martial art teacher and practitioner. If you're serious, you should have many, many books on not just the martial art you're studying, but have books on martial arts that are counterintuitive or other arts. Read about the history of Budo. Where does it come from? Why was the culture that way? How is Taekwondo different than Aikido? And how is MMA different from karate, and the different styles of the samurai and the ninja. We need to know all this if you're going to be a well-rounded martial arts. You have to become intelligent in the mind as well as the body. So yes, I have his books. Most of them are signed because he's a friend of mine. Gamer Joe asks, how do I get fast with the sword? Joe, the answer is you practice. Just like anything else in life, the more you do it, the better you get, the faster you get, the more smooth you get. Just last night, it was raining out. I went walking. I try to walk 3 nights a week. I like walking at night, although it's a little weird, but I like it because it builds the senses up. I usually carry something with me to practice because I live in a rural area, so I can carry a sword or whatever. No one says anything. Last night I brought a sword and I was drawing it as I was walking, so I only walked about 3.5 miles, but it was raining, it was cool, and I had my katana and I was drawing it, doing some iaido stuff, and then doing the noto and putting it back. Now walking, that's not so long, but I probably drew the sword about 100 times. And that's practice, even though it's not technically in the dojo. The night sky was my dojo. The streets of my town were my dojo, and I got some good training in. If you did that twice a week, that's 200 cuts a week. Now, if I walk 3 nights a week and bring the sword, I might do 300 or 400 cuts a week. Well, times that by 50-something weeks, that's thousands of cuts a year. To get better at the sword, you have to use it and practice with it. Can you practice with the sword by yourself? Yes, most of the practice you'll do with the sword will be by yourself. It'll be solo work. Practice drawing the sword, watch DVDs on it, watch YouTube videos. And then make sure you get a partner, because you cannot do good kenjutsu by yourself. It's not a solo art. Kenjutsu is about fighting together with another person with a sword who's trying to chop your head off. So to build up that timing and distancing and that precise motion, you need a warm body to train with, and you have to be super careful. Do not use sharp swords in your training. Use EI unsharpened blades to avoid serious injury or death in some cases. So practice, everything's practice. Liam Morgan from the United Kingdom writes, do you guys have a black belt course online for download that I can purchase? No, Liam, we do not have a course, so to speak. We have several DVDs out that we produced here. Our level 1 beginner DVD is called Striking the Tree, and that is available on eBay, and our website is still being worked on. It will be open soon. As far as a curriculum to download, we do not have that. So Striking the Tree is a level 1 basics course where you learn all the punches that we practice here, or some of the kicks that we do here, how to roll on the ground and fall without hurting yourself, and 12 to 15 of the most common attacks on the street and how to defend against them. It's using the earth element. Next week we start level 2, which is called Fire and Ice. That's a DVD that we'll be working on our level 2 curriculum. We have a level 3 and a 4 and a 5. But we don't have an online course that you can download. But there are DVDs out there. If you search, you can find them. Jai McGee writes, where is your dojo located? I'd like to come to a seminar and train. We are located about 25 to 30 miles northwest of Cincinnati, Ohio. Ohio's in the Midwest, and Cincinnati is in the southwest corner. A town called Mason. If you've heard of Kings Island, which is a quite large amusement park. Those of you old enough will remember that Brady Bunch episode where they had Mike's blueprints they had to deliver, and they were running around a theme park. That's Kings Island. Kings Island's about 5 minutes, 10 minutes that way, very close to there. So Mason, Ohio is technically where our dojo is located, but if you move to the Cincinnati area, you could come to our dojo and train full time. We have classes just about every day. We have seminars all the time. We have people that travel from Indiana and Kentucky, hour and a half, 2 hours just to train in one class. So you are more than welcome to come and train with us. But talking about it is not the same as doing it. You have to have the action to do it. Good luck. All right. What are the different Shugenja writes? Why are there different colors of uniform? Your gis, do they have a deeper meaning? The colors? Not really. Everyone starts in a white gi. A gi means uniform. Everyone starts there. It's a sign of purity. It's a sign of opening yourself up to knowledge, to being ready to learn in advance and to try something new. Once you're in your white uniform and we know that you're not going to quit and wimp out, and you're here for a year and a half, you are invited into what we call the Black Belt Club, which is when you can wear the black uniform. That shows that you're ready to go all the way to your black belt, which is like 5 years in this dojo. It's a long, like, college degree. It's a long commitment. And once you've put enough time in that the teachers know that you are committed, then you can change into the black uniform, and only then. A BBC, the Black Belt Club, is when we have extra classes and you can work towards your black belt. So that's how it works in our dojo. It's nothing special. Many dojos wear different types of gis. Now, another question people ask is, can I wear my gi from my dojo into yours? If it's a plain white gi, yes, but if it has a logo on it, that makes no sense. That would be disrespectful. I wouldn't go with a McDonald's uniform and go work at Burger King. It's dumb. So don't wear a uniform that has a logo on it. We give them out here anyway. They come, if you sign up here, we give you the uniform, so keep it. How much gun training, Jordan asks, how much gun training do you do at your dojo? Jordan, this is not a gun dojo. I don't know of such a thing. A dojo means training hall, and that usually involves no guns. However, we do gun disarms. We do that quite a bit. Because if I'm within 10 or 15 feet of someone, I can get to them and disarm them very quickly. And of course, the closer a gun is to you, the more likely you can traverse the distance and get a hold and manipulate the gun. I train in guns at a gun range, so check your local gun store, your local gun range, and work with them. I try to train every couple weeks at the gun range just to keep abreast of what's going on in that field. And if I'm a martial art teacher, I need to know all kinds of weapons, not just classical. I can't imagine being a martial art teacher and not knowing how to work the slide on a pistol or how to change the magazine out. You need to know this stuff. It's a tool, so how do I use it? Because again, if I'm teaching something, I need to have experience in it. And I go and train. I have a CC license, and I train every couple weeks. I go to the range and work with whether it's a handgun or a firearm of a longer range, like a rifle or a shotgun, all kinds of different weapons, small pistols of all kinds. You need to know all this because you need to know what's out there, and you're more likely to run into a gun than a sword or a knife. So you need to know what weapons are out there and how to use them. We don't train at the dojo. It would make no sense. We don't have a range. But I do believe in gun training for self-defense purposes. All right. Kevin writes, is there going to be a video of taijutsu, bojutsu, or shinobi iri on your channel? Kevin, taijutsu just means the art of using the body. So most of our videos are taijutsu. When we're not holding a weapon and we're doing unarmed techniques, unarmed fighting, that is taijutsu. That's just what they call it. So we have taijutsu already. Bojutsu, that's the art of the bow staff, long 6-foot staff. I have a few that are posted that are probably very old now, so if you check a few years ago in our archive, you can probably find that. We do a lot of bojutsu because, again, that's a good weapon to train with. I'll put some more bow stuff up this winter, I promise. Shinobi iri. Shinobi is what they call the ninja in ancient Japan, that one who steals in. Shinobi iri means stealth and entering methods. No, we don't teach that. It has no practicality now. I haven't learned and taught that since the 1980s. I haven't seen any schools that teach it. It's just not practical to learn how to sneak into buildings or crawl up, the roof of a. It's not practical. People, in my opinion, just want to learn how to fight and defend themselves and be a happier person. They want to be stronger. They don't want to learn how to sneak through the woods. Although I know techniques in certain ways of moving your body and walking silently, and there are methods of stealing in. It's not legal, it's not moral right now, so I don't teach it. It's kind of an obscure art. I don't know of anyone who teaches it. It might be out there, but most of them, I would say, if you're a historian, fine, but if they're teaching you this, it's kind of a fantasy world. I don't want that. I want to train with a realistic dojo, not one that plays around in ninja uniforms all the time. That's just my opinion. It'd be like us learning how to be a cowboy. It just doesn't apply as much anymore nowadays, and I have to spend my time on things that I believe are practical in the 21st century. Shinobi Eerie. Kevin asks, I have trouble staying focused on my training where I live. Do you have any advice? And I'll end it here. Kevin, staying focused is an issue with all of us. However, there are methods like meditation. Training and to stay focused is a practice. It's a habit. It is a way we train our thoughts. As you can train a dog to do new tricks, you can train yourself. Why don't people stay focused? Why do people quit? There's a million reasons. Most people quit out of fear. And that's a very broad term for what I'm trying to say. Most people quit because they don't think that they have the strength or the confidence or the abilities to do martial arts. And they are almost always dead wrong. I've gone through it myself. People are lazy inherently, all of us. We want to do the least amount of effort and get the most out of it. So you can't imagine how many times people have come in who are physically strong and young, and they last 2 classes here. It's just too hard. And they tell me it's too hard. The training's too hard in my body. Or I feel like an idiot out there. I don't know how to punch. And you will learn how to do this. You didn't learn the alphabet in one day. You learned how to say A for a year, and then you worked on B, and then you made sentences. And you don't write like Stephen King after a year. He writes every day. You have to practice. Everyone starts at the bottom and works their way up. But if you quit, you'll never get there. And that goes with any endeavor. It's not just martial arts. It has to do with your job. It has to do with your relationships and your friends. How often do you bounce from one thing to another? Staying focused is the game. That's where it's at. And martial artists that I know that are really good have done it for decades. Not a month, not 3 months, not a year. It's not a sport. It's not an activity. It is a way of life. And Kevin, if you're having trouble staying focused, join the club. We're all that way. But when I feel myself unfocusing, I know that it's my own fault. It's a choice I'm making. I'm choosing not to go to the dojo. I'm choosing to quit and cower away. I'm choosing to do nothing and expecting results, and that's just not how life works. You have to put the effort in. And it's not easy. No one ever said it was easy, but nothing in life worth having is ever easy to attain. A black belt is not easy. And if you think a black belt's easy, you wait to try to get your 2nd degree and your 3rd and your 4th and your 5th, because that takes years and years and years to get that, and most people won't last. Most people leave. They think black belt's the end when they're clueless. That's the beginning. Remember, Shodan means the first step. 1st degree black belt, Shodan, first step. It's not step 100. It's not the top of the mountain. It's not mastery. You have done 1 step in Budo if you get your black belt. 1. And the 4, 5, 6, 7 years before that were inches toward that first step. But you're well on your way, because most people, 90-something%, will quit before a black belt. That's the nature of the beast, the nature of the game, and that's with any activity. Heck, I could teach you how to make gold bars and how to come into class. Come on in Monday at 8. We're going to make gold tonight. And still half of you would quit within a week. It's just human nature. People have trouble nowadays because of technology and the media and everything else. We are not good at focusing. We like instant gratification without any patience whatsoever. And that is an art that in Budo you cannot have. Budo demands your attention. It demands your determination. It demands your full intention. It is a lifelong endeavor. It is not some sort of whimsical sport you do between November and December when it's cold outside. Good luck, Kevin. Staying focused. We all need to work on that more. Hey, you guys, that's going to end it for now. I can't thank you all enough on behalf of all the instructors here at the dojo and the students. We love your questions. We're so happy that you support us and that you enjoy what we present to the world. Don't forget, there are many other martial art channels out there that are really good. I watch them all the time. And we thank you for your support, and we look forward to many new things in the future. If you can come and train with us, great. If you can't, try to find a place locally that you can support, or a martial art that you can get behind and believe in. I promise you, if you take martial arts, you are going to love it. Don't regret. Don't be the one person who says, I should have done this. It's a choice. Everything in life is a choice. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Be safe and happy training.